Hello, we've got another Talking Trisomy podcast brought to you by Soft. Today, I'm so excited. I've had a chance to meet and talk with Meri Willard. Meri, thanks for joining with us. I know you're coming from California. I'm in Arizona, so today it's a West Coast conversation about all things trisomy. Trisomy 18 is dear in my heart. I got my second oldest sister, Carrie. And you have your Rose. So I'm excited to just talk about the journey from diagnosis, as an expectant mother, that, through delivery, through some of the challenges and heartaches and excitement and beautiful dresses. So I'm just excited you're here. Let's talk.
Thank you. Thank
Meri,
you.
how are things?
They are really good. Things right now for us, this probably is a wonderful time to do this talk because right now we are just out from a foot surgery for Rose and she's doing fabulous. And at this point, it's not new to us. And so we're like kind of at a place where we go, this is just a foot. But it's also very exciting because it's going to help her get back to weight bearing. So right now we are preparing for Christmas. We have all 7 of our children home. We have our 22-year-old home. We have our 19-year-old here. We have all the little ones here and Rosie here, not in the hospital. And it's just a really great time for her. She's healthy. She's happy. She's doing great. She got to go to a Christmas parade. She got to go out and about on some fun shopping trips. She's doing great.
That's wonderful. Having opportunities to have all the family there. I know you listed just a little bit. Tell us about your household. You've got a number of moving parts.
Yes.
Give us the count.
Yes. We have 7 children. So our oldest is 22. Then we have a 19-year-old son. And then we have 14, 12, almost 13, 11, 7, almost 8. That's Rose. And then a 3-year-old.
That's a busy house. I imagine you have multiple calendars on the wall going here and there and doing all of that. So awesome.
Gosh. When our son who's in band, when he we like to think that like nothing changed, like, and I can talk about that later, but like having Rosie, it's kind of like, sure, of course this is big, but we got this. We still do it all. Nothing's changed, right? Like her siblings' life haven't changed that much. Nothing's changed. Well, things have changed, but when it came time to rise to the occasion as band parents, because he's now in the 6th grade, so he's doing community parades, he's doing fundraisers, we're doing fundraisers. We're just like, we can't do. Rose is easy. we're at clinics all the time. We're at hospital all the time. It's like our extended home. We say we have a long hallway to San Diego, a long hallway to the children's hospital. This getting to this parade and getting him in his gear, but it was so fun. So I think we're on the cusp of like, the 3 that I call them 3 little boys because they were all 18 months apart. So those 3 are all in junior high right now. And I used to think we'd get a calm because Rose was always at their elementary school activities, always at their elementary school. The kids kind of knew her at their elementary school. Junior high, we stay away. We just drop them off at the curb. They go off. But now all their activities are coming up, just like you said, for Christmas. And we are doing more, I think, than we ever did. So
busy.
Yeah.
Calendar, schedule.
Yes. And we share a car. Yeah. With our 19-year-old, we share a car. So his work schedule's been set up aside, so now we work in his work schedule. Yeah. But it's fun. It's really fun.
That's family, right? That's what it is. And it's fun and it's challenging. And then you go to bed tired and you wake up tired and all of that. So
yeah. And you do a podcast and it feels like relaxing.
Have this moment to chat.
Yeah.
So a big family for some. This is normal for you. Tell us a little bit about. Let's go back. So Rose just had surgery. Rose is almost 8. When you and I talk, we talk about outfits and things. And if you follow Meri on Facebook, you can see all the Instagram and Facebook. You'll see all these awesome pictures.
Yes.
But let's go back to the early days, like at time of diagnoses. As an expectant parent, expectant mother, just tell us, kind of walk us through those days. What kind of still lingers in your mind, and any advice you have for for parents that receive the information that they have a child with trisomy 18 in utero.
Yes.
Go back to the early days for me.
Sure. And, you know, I'll say now, 8 years out, that is such a precious part of my memories and my heart. And it's almost had to take 8 years out to make it precious versus PTSD. But it is precious. And I use the word precious intentionally because what, you know, could only be seen as really hard at the time, then leading me to trauma of losing my daughter or lifelong hardship of my daughter living was when I was first diagnosed. That was really what I saw. I saw very sad, hard outcomes. And I didn't walk the walk yet. So it's such an honor to go back now with you and discuss. I almost feel like it's healing that I was almost 40 at the time. So that almost 40-year-old woman getting the diagnosis for her baby very early on in the pregnancy. It's so special to me to get to go back and share. And I hope it helps other moms because it definitely heals me. So I'd be happy to do that. My youngest at the time was 2. And we thought we had completed our family. And I'm a marriage family therapist. And I also stepped away from work for the first time in years. And it was just, to me, paradise. To my husband, super stressful, super scary, financially very scary. I only share that because that's one of the biggest things I hear from newly diagnosed parents. We can't afford this. We can't do this. We have other children. We can't do this. We don't have the money. We have one job. We can't do this. We have no jobs. Well, we kind of touched on all of those. We had it all. So I'm happy to share our experience and some of our hurdles. But as far as Rosie goes, I had already been in the care. Well, first of all, I obviously was surprised. I found out I was pregnant. I was very happy. That's why I share that timing. I thought, oh, I won't be a working mom. Like, this is neat. This will be our final child. This will maybe be a girl because I have 4 boys and a stepdaughter. So I was fortunate enough to have our stepdaughter in our home from 7 years old till junior high-ish, and then always visiting us. But we got her, and so I definitely consider her my daughter. She's my Morgan. I'm her Meri. Her mother's wonderful. She has her mother. She has her Meri. But this would be my daughter after 4 boys. And I met Morgan when she was 5. So I would be lying if, as my husband was losing his mind over the thought of a 6th child and his wife not working, not that I ever worked. At that time, I wasn't working full time, but I was working enough to help. So anyhow, I add to it, I'm pregnant. And I was actually just rereading through some journals to kind of get freshened up on the real me back then, because I have a very rose-colored lens now. But back then, it was scary. So he was very nervous that I was pregnant. So I almost took on all the joy for both of us, saying, it's great. It's the perfect time. It's the perfect time. I'm almost 40. It'll wrap up our family perfect. What if it's a girl? It's perfect. We have this down. Like, we are good, because we both knew we were good at that. The 3 little ones coming within 18 months of each other, and then being step parents to each one of our first children, and all the hurdles we had gone through. We had a time where we lived with my parents. We've had cars repossessed. We've had cars rebought. We've been through a lot together. A lot. We are a second marriage for both of us. We're just, so invested in our family that it wasn't too hard for him to wrap his head around it, because it's like, okay, yeah, let's do this. We both love our children and we both love being parents. So just when I kind of got him to come around and start to be excited, on that day that I went to the periodontologist, that was normal for me because I was older and I was already referred to specialty doctors because I had preterm labor with my other children. So that wasn't anything because of Rose. That was just normal for us. So going 12 weeks pregnant, it was this particular day that I went. I was about 12, 15, somewhere, 12 weeks pregnant maybe. And I went for a sonogram at the high-risk doctor's office, which I was familiar with the staff. I was familiar with the doctor. My 3 boys before that, all I worked with this office, so it didn't feel necessarily high risk to me. It felt normal to me. So I was in that office waiting on a typical day, crowded office, and that particular day, I noticed a lot of people crying, upset, and it kinda hit me, "Oh, this is a high-risk doctor." Like, "Oh, how sad. What if they got bad news about their baby? How sad. What if their kid has something wrong? That's so sad. I hope this is a girl. I hope they can tell me now. I hope," like, I was really naive to anything could be wrong with one of my babies because they were all born healthy. Um, when I was in the sonogram, I was elated yet again. Another thing, I was there by myself because we've had a lot of children. My husband's been to a lot of them, and he had to work, and my parents had my other children. And the interesting thing is, before I left, they kept saying, "Are you okay going alone? Like, are you okay? Should mom go with you?" I don't want to go on and on about it, but I have had miscarriages. I have seen an empty sac. I have seen a blighted ovum. I've had a DNC. I've miscarried late. I've miscarried early. Like, I have miscarried. So my family kind of was a little worried, but I was fine. So I said, "No, it's all okay. It's fine. It's like, this is so special. This is a time where I just, I'll get to see the little heartbeat and I'll be happy and it's fine. Everybody go about your business and I'll go see the baby and we'll move forward. Dad can come to the next one or something." So when I was taken back there, it was all the same, very special. In fact, I almost felt a little guilty, like probably the hormones, but I was like, I get to do this again. Where, if you have a large family, that's again a whole separate topic, but if you have, there's a lot of shame when you keep growing that family, but not from the people that matter. So a part of my head was like, what are people going to say? Oh goodness, like this is crazy, but I was also very excited. So when they put the gel on my belly and they put the wand to my belly, I hear "Gudunk, gudunk, 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 gudunk," the beautiful sound of galloping that every pregnant mother knows. Um, it's like a galloping horse. It was perfect. It was the heartbeat. It was there, and I smile real big, like, "Oh, cool." Because I can tell you I've had times where they put that on and there was no heartbeat. So I know what that felt like. There was the heartbeat. I look up at the screen and I was laying down and it's kinda up on the ceiling. I see the little sack. I see the little baby. I see the little heart beating. So I breathe easy. Cool. I'm a chatty person, and when I get excited, I get really chatty. So I recognized one of the girls there, and I said, "Oh my goodness, I have to tell you, Max is too." And "Oh wow!" And like she was like, "Okay, shh, oh, okay." So like we used to chat through all my appointments. So I sat there quiet, saying, "Is everything okay?" And no one answered me. Then they're intently looking at the screen and they're pushing numbers, and I hear, "Go get so and so." Like I hear a whisper, like, "Go get." The door opens. The door stays open. Someone new comes in. She, like, resets the wand. She, like, picks up the wand, like, waves it in the air to, like, reset it. So I'm like, "Oh, the machine's probably broken." 'Cause I saw the heartbeat, saw the perfect sac, saw the fetal pulse, or saw everything that you kinda be on the fetal pole at that point, but saw everything you wanna see as a mom. So I was happy. And, she says and I say, "Is everything okay?" And she says, "Mom, I'm gonna do a scan real quick. I need you to stay very quiet and still." So she just keeps and they're just punching in numbers like you can't believe, not printing out photos, not snapping photos. So I chose that time to just close my eyes and, enjoy her heartbeat, and they turn it down. It's like, "Turn off her heartbeat." I was like, "Mm." So then I just lay there and close my eyes. And then I start chatting and I'm like, "Some people say you can tell from the uterus if it's a boy or a girl. We have 4 boys." And I'm still in this very naive place saying, "But we don't care. We don't care as long as it's healthy. We don't care." And all rare trisomy parents understand how annoying that is when you say you don't care as long as it's healthy. I was saying it. 10 fingers, 10, all this I don't wanna say stupid. All the naive things you can say. As long as there's 10 fingers and 10 toes, hopefully it's a girl, but we don't care if it's a boy. We love our boys. Just stuff that's very normal to say, but not smart. So then, they end. They flip the lights on and they're like, "Okay, mom, you can sit up." Maybe they didn't call me mom. They did. A lot of medical care will just call you mom. I think sometimes they knew I wouldn't abort. So at that point they were calling me mom, but sometimes they won't call you mom because they leave it, your choice if you're not going to keep your pregnancy or not. But at that point I think they were calling me mom. So they were like, you can sit up and lights are on. They hand me the thing to wipe the gel off my belly and they're gone. Like they're gone. There's no picture ripped off and handed to me, which often happens. And I'm in that room and I just more feel a little silly. And I thought, wow, they really do judge me. Wow. I thought they were judging me because I've had too many kids. Because this would be my sixth. And I thought, wow, I'm going to write on this. I'm going to complain about this. This is judging me because I having a sixth baby. Like we can take care of our baby. We're not even on welfare. Like this is not right. Whatever came to my mind, like again, a very naive mindset. And I wiped my stomach off and I pulled my shirt down and I kind of moved to the end of the table and I'm kind of planning my complaint on how not kind that was. And then I get up and then they say, "Oh, Miss Willard, can you have a seat there?" And it wasn't an office. It was a hallway and it was back by the staff. And I was like, okay. So I had a seat and I thought they were going to tell me something like the machine was not working. Can we reschedule you? That's kind of my thought. So I sat down and I shoot a text to my husband. I'm like, "Hey, I'm done." Then a woman arrives and asks me if I've had the NIPT blood work done. And so when she asked me that, I said, I don't know. I don't know. And she said, "Well, it would have been at your confirmation at your doctor's office and it would have been blood work." And I said, "Oh, I did. I did. You have the results and can I get the gender?" And she goes, "We don't have the results. I'm going to go call for them." So I said, "Okay." So I sat there waiting and my husband's texting me like, "Is everything okay? Is everything okay?" I said, "I think so. I'm just waiting on some blood work results." He says, "Okay, well, let me know. Let me know when you get that." So she comes down with a little piece of paper and she's like folded it and kind of pulling on it. And she's like, "We do have the results. We do have the results of your blood work." And I said, "Okay." And still really not thinking anything's wrong. And then she said, this is showing, along with the recent sonogram we just did, this is showing likelihood of trisomy 18. And I'm just kind of not registering what they're saying. I'm confused. And the only thing I can kind of come back with is I saw the heartbeat. I saw everything looked fine. And they shared this is trisomy. And all I can think of is trisomy 21. So I start saying Down syndrome. I say, "Well, we wouldn't terminate." And okay. And I was saying Down syndrome, and the woman put her hand on my shoulder. She said, she crouched down. She was eye to eye with me. She says, "This isn't Down syndrome. This is way worse." Um, so anyhow, as she says to me, "This is way worse," I finally register rare trisomy to my mind because my cousin had lost a little baby with trisomy 13. So I said, "Well, is this like trisomy 13? And when she said, "Kind of, but neither are compatible with life, and it's a very, very complex diagnosis." So she asked me to make an appointment for the next day to actually have a sonogram with the periodontologist. And at that point, I'm just kind of left in this hallway before I schedule my next sonogram with this diagnosis, trisomy 18, and I don't really know what to do with it. So when I do look down at my phone, I'm seeing text from my husband, "Send me a picture. Is everything okay? FaceTime me after." Were we FaceTiming then? I don't even remember. "Call me after this." My parents were starting to leave voicemails. "Is everything okay? Is everything okay?" And I think like I shared with you when we talked earlier, with the text flying in asking if everything was okay and the voicemails coming in asking if everything was okay, I just turned off my phone. I had no answer for them. I just turned off my phone. And I just went like, nothing is okay. Nothing's okay. It's terrible. And something that, I would say at that point, and I would say for years, nothing was ever okay again. Okay. We never were in the typical world again, ever. So that was the beginning.
I mean, just going from sixth child, having done this, going through
Hmm.
that, and then feeling those moments of, wait, this doesn't feel normal. Doctors kind of scrambling, calling, getting, double checking what they saw to what
Yeah.
the blood work is. Man, uh, that moment must have felt long and felt
Yeah. It,
sorry.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt, when I'm talking about it right now, I feel like it was such a stepping over the threshold. It was such a stepping into the new. And so what you think at the time is like you're stepping almost into a grave, like it's the end. I think a lot of doors, like we talked about, I'll say a lot about doors and roses thing, like ICU doors, or even in this, I get like a vision of like if you were to open a door and step over the threshold into a new world, a new paradigm, a new life. Um, this felt like you're stepping into a brick wall, and miscarriages feel like that. Miscarriages feel like, "Whoo, I'm so excited. You hit a brick wall, right?" So it felt like that, except this is something that was pretty exciting for me and such a nice gift for me. Right next to that, what are they telling me? What are they telling me? What? The baby's, what is that? I'm gonna have a disabled child? At that point, no one said she would die, but definitely be very, very, very disabled. So my brain's only imagining like, um, not having an arm, not having a leg, something wrong with her looks, like, or her looks that they didn't know it was a girl yet. And then, but I'm not imagining death yet, but I did real quick when I learned that it was incompatible with life, or people say it's incompatible with life. But it was that same feeling of just, okay, newness is coming, new life is coming. I was excited to step over to a new stage of life, and then I just hit a wall. And it feels like you were to open a door and there's a brick wall there. It feels like that. So I didn't want to like share that at that point with my family. I just wanted to feel it. And I had a lot of questions, but those were paraprofessionals. Those were like, the people doing the sonogram. Those were techs and people so they let me know that I needed to go see the doctor the next day. He wasn't in. I needed to see the doctor the next day. He would do his own scan. We would discuss options, and I would see him the next day. So I kind of fumbled and booked that. And I had two things that kept me kind of in a good headspace. One is just a screening. It could be wrong. Two, um, I saw everything and it looked perfect. I saw the heartbeat, the sac. And that is huge. This is something that drove me years. Well, like at Rose's birth, this is something that kept me going. This same exact feeling that was ignited in me. There's a heartbeat. There's there's a baby. I have seen uh the opposite. I've seen no life inside of my stomach when I'm pregnant. I've miscarried. I've seen that. Seen that in ERs. I've seen that, before my DNC, before surgery. I've seen that. That was not this. That there was a heartbeat. So I was like, I also still held to that baby is alive, so we take it day by day. And so those really sustained me. I did feel terrible. I did feel sad and scared, but I also had this optimism because I heard the heartbeat. And so I was gonna cling to that, and I was gonna be that little baby's advocate, but I still didn't really even know against what, because I wasn't too sure what T18 even really would be for her.
Man, then you had that appointment the next day.
I
How
did.
did that go? Walk
I
us through
did.
that.
So that was I actually had to drive a little ways because he was up at a different office. It's about an hour from us versus just literally 5 minutes away. So that drive was very intense, and I wanted to do it alone. I wanted to do it alone again. Um, My husband was there. Everybody was very confused. Um, I came back to them. So that night, my parents had taken the kids for a fun day at Disneyland and told me I could go take care of me, like do something, rest, get a haircut, do something. And I didn't. I was just like Googling like crazy trisomy 18. And my biggest search was how many false screenings are there? And I kind of got lost in mom groups and things where all these people told these glorious stories of the screening was wrong. And so I really clung to that. And so I just, then they came home and we had Panda Express and I was talking to them and I was saying, you know, there's something wrong and it looks like this is trisomy 18. And, but to them, I was the expert. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that for new moms. Like, it's really interesting to go be the messenger to your family. You go to these appointments, you're told very shocking things, and then you come back and you deliver it either to the best friends, to your sister, to your parents, to your community, to your people at church, to your neighborhood. You're delivering this information to people, and they're staring at you like, um, you're the expert and you really don't know anything yet either. And so so I kind of took on that role. I said, but this is a screening and this is very often wrong. Stuff I don't even know if really is data is factual, but I'm calming everyone. So I'm telling them and then I'm calming them and then I'm telling them and I'm calming them because I don't want to lose my baby. So you're almost like, at least for me in such a busy household, it's hard to find time to process it all. And so seeing him the next day, I was still in a place where I really hadn't let it sink in. I saw it a little bit. I felt like there was a part of me that was like, this is big. This is happening. She's gonna have T18. But the surface level of me was like, we don't know yet. It's gonna be okay. And I didn't want to worry everybody. So I went to see him. And when I saw him, like I said, right now it's a very special memory. But back then it was just so scary. But the office was bright and lit with tons of sunshine. He was a familiar face because he helped me with my other three. We were not like, he's not amazing, like feely, but there's definitely, for me, you might not even remember who I was, but for me, there's a familiarity. So that wasn't that scary. I was used to his, the way he's phrased things, the way he said things. And so I felt kind of comfortable. But he began the sonogram and he's staring at the screen and he says, this is really bad. This is really bad. I can't tell you what you'll have an echo. You'll learn what's the heart is just something. And I've had people tell me there's no way he could have seen that much that soon. But maybe, I know that he was telling me intrauterine growth delay. Of course, she was tiny, tiny, tiny. And the heart could tell something was wrong. And he said omphalocele, organs are outside the body. So the things I start to hear are organs outside of the body. Looks like the brain either isn't there or is developing very bizarrely. Heart, something completely wrong. And growth. We're not even close to where the baby should be. So this probably will miscarry. I don't think he used those words, but that's where my brain went when he kept saying growth was so far back. So I was like, well, I want to know my human growth hormone level. I want to monitor it. If it's just going down, then I know I'm going to have a miscarriage. If my human growth hormone is fine, then I know this baby's growing. So some of those words stuck in my head, like you're at risk for omphalocele. The heart looks terrible, this, that, whatever. And then he said, what I'm looking at, and your NIPT, this is pretty definitive of trisomy 18. So we turned everything off. We sat for a second. I sit up, I wipe the gel off my belly, I pull my shirt down. And he says, what do you want to do next? So I was like, well, what are my choices? So he was saying you could do a CV. You're right at the cusp where we could still do a CVS, I believe is what he said. Or he gave it an option, or he told me like how long I could go till I could have that. He said you could do an amnio. And then he said, you know what? He's like looking at the dates. He's like, you could do another blood test. You're still in the window to do another blood test. And I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. So I was like thinking in my head, another chance to prove them wrong. Like this will just show maybe I'm not as far as like when you're a mom, you start running through like what it could be. Like maybe I got my period dates wrong. Maybe she's not as far as long as everybody thinks. Maybe, so I'm kind of spiraling and all that. So I said, let's do another blood test. So that was hard. I was there early before even their office hours. So actually, they had this one girl that was going to draw my blood, and she couldn't. She was new, and it was just. And he goes, "This was kind of an intimate moment him and I had that I kind of appreciate." Um, she couldn't draw my, and so he came in, and it's not normal that the doctor draws your blood. That's not what happens. But he did. He said, "Get out of here," to the girl. He's like, "I'll do it." So I think I was shaking. I'm sure I was pale. I'm not sure what he saw on the other end. I'm not sure how I looked to him, and he's not a mushy feely. He's a very busy practice, takes very little time with you. And he says, "Sit down, sweetie." And he's never called me sweetie. He took my blood, he did it. And he said, "Oh man, I should have just done this. This is a dream. This is what I actually love to do." Like he took my blood and he got the blood just fine. And he says, "Okay, sweetie. Okay." He was being very kind. And then he said, "Okay, so we'll get the results and Shelly will call you." Or yeah, I think I can say her name. The genetic counselor, I'll call her that. She's an ally, definitely. But he said, our genetic counselor will give you a call. And he said, "Okay." And I said, "Okay." And he said, where he knew I came from Marietta. So he says, "Where are you going now?" And I said, "Well, I'm gonna go home." And he said, "Okay." He said, "Do you want to wait in our office a little bit? Do you want to wait in a room a little bit?" No, no. So I made my way down to my car and then I just heaved. I just like just moaning, heaving, sobbing, and just a mess. And again, ignoring my phone. I see like 25 texts from my husband. I see so many missed calls from my sister. My sister called me actually on the way there and was very sweet. My sister called me on the way there on the drive, and I had her on speakerphone. And she was like, "Are you okay? What's going what? What?" Like, she's so confused. "Mom said what's wrong with the baby? Like, what?" And, I said, "I don't know." Like, I was like, "I don't" to her, I didn't try to, like, sugarcoat it or anything. I just said, "I don't know." She was like, "Okay, well, everything will be fine, sweetie. Like, everything will be fine. I'm praying for you. Everything will be fine." It's like, "I don't know." That's kinda but it really helped. Her call helped. It was very genuine. But I didn't wanna talk to anyone. I didn't wanna call anyone. I just wanted to sit there and just, like, live in that shade under the tree in the car. I didn't wanna get out. So that was what the second day was like.
When as things progressed, you got the results, it started to sink in. Like, tell me some milestones as you led up to the birth of Rose. Anything
Yes.
you'd like
Oh
to
my gosh.
share?
I would, and it's how we found Soft, and it's such a cool thing. There's a lot in the middle, but to make it quick, I'll just say I did have an amnio, and I'm happy to talk about that another time, but I did choose that. You do not, and this is a great resource talking about all your choices, and I'll talk more about this later too, but we did go with the amnio. So by this point, I'm still needing it to sink in. So for me, and what I was starting to learn about care plans and what I was starting to see about a denial of care or a wait and see approach till we confirm the diagnosis, I wanted to know right from the get go, not so I could terminate, but so I could plan. So I'm aware now that that's not necessary, but at the time I felt like it was. So I did have the amnio. So I went through that. So all that's still in that familiar office for me with that familiar doctor. And he was lovely through the amnio. That was nice. Once amnio said full trisomy 18, that's a beautiful story too, but I'm not going to go there right now. But when the genetic counselor called and gave me that news, um, uh, it all halted. All care halted. It all stopped because I'm no longer going to work with any system that I'm familiar with. I'm told I can't deliver at our local hospital. And I'm saying, yes, I can. Yes, I can. They have a NICU now. They have a NICU that's connected to the local children's hospital. I can deliver there. That's where I had all my kids. I still have a 2-year-old that's down the street. That's where I want to deliver. They said, no, doctor, we'll take you. You will not deliver there. You need to go somewhere else. So that's kind of where I was. And then it all halted because they were going to call me with referrals. So to me, it felt like months and months and months, and I'm neglecting my baby and I'm going, what's going on? But I'm just waiting. And then I get this referral and it's not the correct direction. I'm thinking, oh, okay, they're going to refer me to the level 3 high risk children's hospitals around, and my child will start being followed by very high risk doctors and the specialists. And you know what? That's probably better. So I need to stop begging for lesser care. This is great. They're going to give me greater care. So I need to just calm down and wait. It felt like, so in that time, I did all my own research. I kind of felt abandoned by the medical community. And then I get this call that I'm supposed to go to this medical center in this city that is going far away from large, big hospitals. I don't need to say the name of the city, but it's a city that I would consider more rural. I would consider less specialists. So I was like, why am I going there? She said, well, that's where you're going to go. And then you're going to deliver at the medical center right there. And I was like, they don't even have a NICU. So I was panicked and I was like, oh my goodness. The county that I live in does have a reputation for poor medical care for women, or at least it used to. And I never really worried about it because I always had great care and I had very healthy children. But all that starts playing in my mind. What I know about, just when, I just start worrying. So I was like, and so then the genetic counselor said, well, this doctor is phenomenal and he's great. And please go, please go. I said, so I booked it and it was still a little ways out. And in the meantime, I start searching for like, okay, he said omphalocele. He said heart. I start going back to that little time I had with a specialist because it was just one little time. And then I'm now weeks out and I'm looking at a list I wrote on the back of a receipt, on the back of a Walmart receipt. I had written, everything spelled wrong. Like might get amniocentesis, omphalocele, CHG. I'm writing trisomy. I'm writing TRISONMY. Like you look back at it, it's just a mess. But I'm jotting it all down. And I go back to that and I start to get a journal and a legal pad. And I just start writing these down and I start Googling, how do you fix an omphalocele? What surgeon do you need for an omphalocele? What age do you fix an omphalocele? How long can a child live with their organs outside their body once they're born? And I just start searching. And I realized that my list, every single thing can be repaired. Every single thing can be tended to. So before I even found Soft, I said, I'm doing this shift. They can take care of like the trisomy 18 information, but I only know these couple issues he told me she could have. And I see there's care for every one of them. So I'm going to just ask for that. I'm going to ask for that. So I go to this 20-week thing and I'm very angry. I'm driving out there. I'm passing cows. For where I live, that's rare. And now it's actually it's not cows anymore, but back then it was. But I'm driving more and more away from cities, from, Riverside, LA, San Diego, Orange County, like, out where the children's hospitals are. I'm going the wrong direction. And so I'm mad. So like I'm driving out there mad and, yeah. So I get there, super crowded, super crazy. It looked like an airport almost. We had all sorts of care there. There were people literally and this is just crazy that it happened to be on that day, and I don't have a problem with it. I do want prisoners to get medical care, but it shocked the heck out of me that I was beside people literally like with their officers watching them as they're in their, they're getting their woman doctor visit, but they're in their handcuffs. Like where am I? Like, I think I was hyper vigilant and I think everything stung. So I'm sure if I went there today, maybe it would look different, but it looked to me like I was sent to the end of the earth. And it was not looking good. Now that ended up being one of the best days of my care ever. So the genetic counselor was correct. He was a fabulous doctor. So I went into the exam room and he begins, and I rattle off like, okay, so he told me this, he told me club feet, he told me heart issues, he told me I'm follicle, he told me like probably cysts in the brain, he told me a brain might not even be there. I'm just like rattling it off, and he's like, okay, well, we'll take a look. I said, and I want heart repair. And like he's like, he kept telling me like, okay, we'll talk later. I said, no, I want surgery on the abdomen. And he's like, okay. So finally he stops. He says, okay, let's talk and then we'll do the exam. And I said, okay. So I stood up and he says, have you heard of soft? No. No, first he says to me, are you from Utah? I was like, oh my gosh, they're all like pegging me because I have a lot of children. Or, I was just like, why is he asking me
I
this?
have to laugh.
I have to laugh too. My husband went to college in Utah. Like, I have to laugh. We have family in Utah. Like, so yeah, but I'm from Southern California. So I say, but yeah, we plenty of family in Utah. Yeah. So I say, no, I'm not from Utah. And like, I already don't like him because that's the first thing he says to me. So I'm like, listen to me. I need to be in a NICU. I need to go to like play. I need to go to these big, or San Diego or Orange County. I not here. And he goes, no, I just was curious if you've ever heard of soft. That's why I brought up Utah or something. And then I said, well, we were just in Utah and we all got the stomach flu. It was terrible. So we start talking and it's nice talk. And then he goes, soft is an organization for trisomy. I said, okay, I'll look it up. And then he goes, I really think you need to join soft. He says, everything you're saying and everything you're doing, and this is huge what he told me, and I would love to tell all new parents this. He said, everything you're saying and everything you're doing is what soft can help support you in. And it's not a norm, and it's not what's done regularly. But these kind of children are starting. He's kind of made it sound like it's just revolutionary. Like they're starting to let these children into NICUs and into intensive care. And I think they have a registry, and I think what you need to do is join soft and get support on this. He said, I'm going to be really frank with you. He said, I'm on the fence. He said, I'm on the fence. I used to be full intervention, full do everything for these babies, full care, everything. And I'm listening. And he says, and I've kind of changed. He said, I'm just going to be really honest with you. It sounds like you're not on the fence. It sounds like you want NICU care for your baby, but I'm kind of on the fence. I've helped a lot of families and I've seen a lot of very hard things. And I was like, I don't care what you're on. Like, I don't care what fence you're on. Like, I got very defensive, even though I liked him. I already was appreciating him. But I told him, like, I don't care what you're on. Like, I have one child. This is my child. I have one child. Um, I already knew her name was Rose, so I was already calling her Rose. So I was like, yeah. So he says, okay. He's like, here's what I think. I'm a teacher. I'm faculty at this place. You need to go to this place. We're going to get you over there. There's a team. It's a great team. They're the rare trisomy amazing team. You'll have a hospice person assigned to you through your pregnancy. He didn't call it that, but I called it that to my family. He said, you'll have like someone assigned to you, midwife. You'll have a midwife assigned to you through your pregnancy. Then you'll make a care plan. Then you'll have your baby. I'll refer you there. He's like, but can I please do the sonogram? Like, we can't talk and he goes, it's going to be long. He's like, this is going to be like an hour. I said, okay. So I didn't talk for an hour. And I asked him, I said, could you leave the heartbeat running? He said, yeah. So he left, I could hear her. So I could hear the galloping. So I just laid back. He did the whole exam. And when we were done, he says, have you met our genetic counselor? Have you met her? And I said, no, I don't want to. I've talked to her on the phone. She gave me 3 results of my baby. She told me, she confirmed the first blood test. She confirmed the second blood test. She called me about my amnio. That's all I need her for. I don't need her. I don't care. Like, I don't want it. I'm not terminating. I'm going to steer the care. It looks like no one repairs these babies' hearts, and I'm going to make it happen. And I don't want her in my way. I don't want to meet her. And he goes, you're meeting her. And I said, I don't want to. And then I said, I'll meet her later. she's by me. Her office is by me. Cause she actually, this is a neat thing, which I didn't know. I just thought she referred me there, but she still worked. So in our county, it's all in our county. So she still like worked at where I was. She's works in the many offices in our county. And so I did not know that. Not being at the office down the street from me, I thought she wasn't a part of this. So he goes, I'm going to go get her. Now, again, when I talked to him later, he said, you didn't seem like that. Well, I felt like that. So I guess I must give off a different impression. I felt like I was being so mean. I guess I didn't give off that impression. And so, but I did not want to see her. And so he got her. He brought her in, and she came beside me. She was very kind, very sweet, super soft voice, which I completely recognized from telling me my child had trisomy 18. And she stood beside me and said, is this Rose? Because he had froze her image. He froze her image on the screen. And I guess when he went and got her, he told her, like, the name is Rose. And so she says, is this Rose? And I said, yeah. And she said, oh, hi, Rose. It was so sweet. It was so sweet. So I just start crying. I say, he says I should join Soft. He says I should go to this hospital. She says, yes, 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 I have. I'm going to make the referrals. We'll call you with that and all that. So that was and then another very important thing I want to tell newly diagnosed parents, that day at that 20-week anatomy scan, I might have been a little farther actually, but it was like 20-week. I could have been a little farther along. He went through an initial list of my baby and he was like, there's no omphalocele. It is closed. There's no cyst in the spine. The brain is fine. The brain is typical structure. The brain is small, but everything's small. And he went through it, and it was just like, that was a breath of fresh air. And that was a beautiful day. That was a liberating day. Soft was included with me in that day because he referred me to Soft. He talked about he said the founders had children and then they moved from Utah, but there's a Dr. Carey. He knew everything. This is, about Soft. So he told me all about Soft. And then he went through this list. It was literally, I remember, because I went home and I remember like writing on it and I was like, done, healed, gone, done. And everyone's like, the power of prayer, trisomy will be gone. Maybe, I don't know. Keep praying, guys. It's like, I'm just saying, like, we don't have that. Stupid doctors. They don't know a thing. La, 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 la. Like I was on cloud 9. My daughter might as well have been healed because I had a pathway to fair care. So
love that.
That was a neat time.
Glad, anyhow, I had to chuckle when you talked about Utah, having been born there and now live in Arizona.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
my husband's best friends are there too.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Where are you from? No, I'm from here. I'm in California.
Yeah.
But
that's where it hit me. It hit me like, what? Like I want to be present and I want to figure out where level 3 hospitals are. Well, Dr. Carey's in Utah, right? Like it makes sense now, but at the time it's like, what? He was trying to figure out if I knew of Utah Children's Hospital in Utah. Yep. And so he was just trying to figure out if I had any family out there, if I ever transferred there. Like he was just trying to figure out where would be a safe place for us. But, so at the time I didn't know. Yeah.
But still funny for all of us Soft folks because having Dr. Carey there in Salt Lake and a number of our conferences. I just didn't know that. I mean, that's where 501c3, that's where it originated. That's where we were incorporated, et cetera. So anyway, that was funny. That was part. So little there. Yeah. What I think is just really neat is just you sharing your, it's not neat, but here in retrospect, I really am grateful that you were able to share your emotions. It is a journey that, we don't wish this upon any child, any family, but man, we just want, and I think you show with just your, I think of the 70s and 80s and 90s, pre-internet, pre-Google, how kind of information voided was out there. Hard to find things, kids, if you're listening to this, there was a thing called a payphone and white pages and yellow pages. How do you get this out? We had a toll-free number back in the day at Soft. So ordering, just being able to have,
ordering
times have
articles from your library. Like I was telling my
yes.
husband that when I was getting my BA, one of the classes was how to send an email. I
Yeah.
was like,
Like what? How
yeah,
to
that
send
was
an email? Like
college.
right.
That was college level.
That's what
Yeah.
kindergartners know how to do.
Yeah, that's how smart I
I'm
am.
right there with
Yeah.
you. Even 20 years
Yeah.
ago, my early days of college.
Yeah.
But just that this doctor could say, "Hey, take a look, join. They have a registry. You'll be able to ask
Huge.
questions, get information." And I think what it
That
proves to
that's
me, like
huge.
you live what we want, which is just information for families,
Mhm. Mhm.
information's for mom and
Mhm.
dad, information's for mom, and
Yes.
then follow your path, right? And
Yes.
your path, you
Yes.
already named Rose. You heard the heartbeat from early on. You're just like, this is the
Yeah.
path I'm choosing.
Yeah.
For a lot of others, even people I've interviewed recently that the podcast will come out with them, they had their own journey, but we all
Yes.
want and strive that information can be quickly given to families that is fair, that is
Yes.
accurate and up to date. Because guess what? Things are
Yes.
changing quickly. There's more articles and
Yes, and
reports we're going to be doing
this is
interviews on. So
this
yes,
is fabulous. I just got this last week, I believe, and I have read it probably 10 times.
well,
I love it. This is everything that I would feel like a keyboard warrior, if a newly diagnosed
yeah,
person pops in a group, especially even a few years ago, but I still am that hyper about trying to help. But I don't need to as often because everybody's stepped up. Like so many parents help so many people. It's wonderful. But this book is everything. It's like I feel like sometimes I will try to blog or write on like how to help, how to get what we got, and it can be exhausting. And then I open this book and it's every little trick. And the trick is knowledge is power. That's what I mean by trick. It's all the knowledge you need to make your choices. And then I look at the back, or where did I see who contributed to it?
yes,
Lovely, lovely people, like people whose kids were mentors to
yes,
me. I was this frazzled, confused, pregnant person, and you know, um, Emerson's mom, and I know them as moms, and they're professionals and they're amazing, and Dane's parents, and this is it. Like this is
yeah,
wonderful. A quick thing about this though, when I was very first diagnosed, um, and I call it that. I call it newly diagnosed. Even though you're pregnant, it's your baby, it's not you. But I will say that. So you'll hear me say when I was first diagnosed, because for that, Rose and I are joined. That's our own personal bond. We both were diagnosed that day. Um, but the genetic counselor did hand me at one point, actually, she didn't hand it to me because I hadn't met her yet, but the staff handed me a manila envelope with black and white printed out soft caregiver manual, I believe, and a little brochure, just black and white printed out of soft. She had handed that, she had had the staff give that to me, and I never looked at it. So later, when I said I never heard of soft, she said, no, no, I sent you that packet. I sent you that packet. You told me you got it. You told me you read through it. When she gave me the amniocentesis thing, I was like, well, I lied. I did look at it. I flipped through it and I got scared and I put it away. And I saw very disabled. I'm going to be blunt. I'm going to be blunt right here because I know there's some newly diagnosed people. I saw children I didn't want. I saw children maybe I would one day foster. Maybe one day I would be a therapist to their families. Maybe one day I would say, we had a scare of T18, but we don't have it. But let me be an empathetic towards you. Um, I saw what I didn't want. I would want to help the plight and I would want to be compassionate. But I don't want my baby with a genetic disorder. I don't want that. And so at that point, I probably was 15 weeks pregnant. I can even see the drawer in my mind's eye where I tucked it in by our front door. I opened this dresser we have now in my son's bedroom. He does his college work on it. But at the time, it was by our door at our other house. I opened that drawer, stuffed it in there, and I closed that drawer. It wasn't even until after I had Rose that I looked through that packet. And really what it was It was a printed out version of the care manual from Soft, and it was a printed out little brochure, and it came to be that those children are beautiful, and those children, I don't even think I realized, even if it repelled me, I think they lived back here in my brain, and I did say what we know to be true, that you see a picture of the child in the Halloween costume. You see, like you talked about, you see in the AAP podcast, but it did matter. But at the time, I looked, but I didn't let it sink in. So I put it away. Does that make sense? Like, I didn't own it.
Does.
I would tell you at the time, like, I don't want to join them. I'm going to go revolutionary and get my kid heart repair, and it's like, it was really neat. What ended up happening, the way I started Rose on her path to finding a heart surgeon, was from Ann Barnes. So I absolutely integrated Soft into our life, but I did push it away at first.
Yeah, I mean, I have a series of questions here, but I think you're hitting on them
Yeah, go
in
ahead.
regards to the feelings that you had. And I think I'm no mother. I have a wonderful wife. I have 3 beautiful kids. The mother's journey is unique to themselves, and each child's journey
Mhm.
with their mom is unique. Whether normal, or whether there's complications, or whether there's a trisomy journey. So, I at least am so grateful that you're willing to kind of share those feelings, because if anyone's listening to this, that you have a loved one that just received a diagnosis, or you
Mhm.
yourself have,
Mhm.
allow you to have your feelings. Your feelings are your feelings, and they're
Yes.
natural, and they're there for you to
Yes,
help guide
they
you.
are.
And so we, at Soft, other parents, other groups, we have big plans to create, more and more support systems around you. But
Mhm.
Mary, I'm so glad you brought up the new and expectant parent book. We have one for trisomy 18
Yes.
that came out just over a year ago. So
Yes.
it's new, like it's still new. And then a trisomy
It's
13 book
great.
that I think released
Oh,
in
good.
February of 2025. So that was like, I think October of 2024. We have it available for free. You can download it on our website. I just like to know where people are coming from. So we're not going to stalk you or anything, but
Mhm.
just put in your name and email
Yeah.
so I can email it to you.
Yes.
If you want a physical one, we sell them on Amazon because they're just easiest to deliver and
Yeah.
all that. And so we can not have to delay. You don't have to wait for me to go put it in an envelope. You'll just get it from Amazon. So if you have friends, yourself, or family that need that book, get the digital copy. The cool thing is we're adding
Can I
more to the
add
collection. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can I add something too?
By all means.
Things like this, and if you're not ready to hear it yet, you're not ready to hear it yet. But there will be a day that something like this is a shield. Okay. I want to talk about that real quick because there's so much to say in getting Rose to fair care. Like I told Nick a while ago that in an email, I just said, I think our story has some helpful pieces because we were told no to heart repair and we were told yes to heart repair. And we were, transfers out of state for heart repair and all that stuff. Well, in that time, in the first 6 weeks of Rose's life, we were in care that accepted her for heart repair and denied her for heart repair. I had things I like to call shields. They literally were shields in front of her that I know were parts of what saved her. And this could be considered one of them. What I had was I printed out the care manual and I 3-hole punched it and I put it in a huge binder. And I put, because there's a lot, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's a big
And it's
book. We're
really like a
trying to redo it.
pediatric.
We're
Yeah.
updating
But I
it,
brought it.
but
I
it
brought it
is
to her
big.
birth
Yeah.
and I put it beside her bed wherever she was, the CBICU, the NICU, before she was born. I put it everywhere I was. And I would say, I'm a Soft member. Like, it was something that you guys could come in, like, you guys would come in like security and protect my
Yes.
baby. I said it like it was powerful. I said, I am a Soft member. I am aware that these children are doing well with heart surgery. I have this article from Stanford University talking about heart repair increasing quality of life for trisomy 18 and trisomy 13. I want my daughter considered a candidate for repair. and like I said, I would hold, now they were big. I was bulky. I would search for it in a weird backpack. I'd pull it out. I had a legal pad. I'd say, like, this quote, it's all in here. It's all in here. You could literally be like, sit at those care conferences and listen. And then you could be like, okay, hold on. Well, SOFT recommends that a pulmonologist weigh in on airway issues. And I really want to decipher between obstructive apnea and central apnea. And then there's like a chart. And my gosh, it's golden. It's amazing. This will be your shield. This is for a bunch of people. This is for the brand new pregnant mom that has no idea where to start and she wants to learn. But the mom further along, meeting at care conferences that are ending care for you or denying you transfer or telling you your child isn't a candidate for heart repair, there's a lot of baggage, what's the right word? Baggage? I don't know. Support. There's a
Support, yeah.
lot that you can glean. You can glean a lot from this. And so I would recommend that every parent before the birth of their child has this in their go bag. Medical moms know a go bag. Pregnant moms know they bring a bag to have a baby. Medical parents have a go bag, and it's when it's time to go, it's time to go. And this should be in everybody's.
Appreciate that. I know you
Yeah.
just recently
Yeah.
got that, but when I heard your story,
Yeah.
you said Ann Barnes' name before. Ann, you're amazing. She wrote
Yeah.
the care book. A while ago, we've had different versions. I think we're up to version 5, and we're trying to work on version 6 to make it ready. But how neat was that when you told me that you're like, I carried it everywhere. I had a variety of journals and reports
Everywhere.
that you could say. And so one thing that we are adding, and the reason we got connected recently, you've been a part of SOFT, but with my new role here, was you listened to the article, the podcast from Dr. Pyle, who was the lead author for the report from the American Academy of Pediatrics for care for trisomy 18 and 13. And you're just like, that was awesome. And so we're going to be adding that in. And that's so new. That was July of this year.
Yeah.
There was another report we're going to be putting together, more information on that I just learned about last week about surgery options for children with these conditions.
Good.
Anyway, there's just a lot of progress. And I wanted, you briefly said something before that the narrative, right? We have twofold mission: supporting families, which information, the shield, that stuff. We just want to get it out there. We're not the one, like, yes, we brought a group together of medical professionals to make that book, to make the 13 book, to make soon to be 9, trisomy 9 book. But there's so many other great projects out there that we just want to highlight them. The AAP report, the Jana, I think it is. There's another one. And there's just this momentum, which I'm so excited for, because information allows families to do what's right for them. But you mentioned something briefly that was there that we've talked about, which is the previous feeling that, or the previous medical claim that children with trisomy 18 or trisomy 13 were incompatible with life. And I know that probably created limitations on your navigating insurance and navigating medical treatment. And you kind of touched on that. For today's podcast, because you're a busy family, we're going to have to circle back and do a second episode just on some of those.
Yeah.
And every state's different.
I would love that.
We're trying to grow a network state by state or even region by region, because everything's different across the country, which is good and bad. And it is what it is. We just play within the rules. But if you can briefly just tell me the high level, finish the heart surgery story, and then let's talk a little bit more about maybe advice you would give, and then we'll circle. We're definitely going to do this again, Meri.
Sure.
So let's talk about that heart surgery, because I think, go ahead. I'll stop rambling.
As my eye twitches with excitement, like, ooh, I get to talk about my daughter's heart surgery. It's just exciting. It's like, has all the components. It was tragic. It was exciting. Like I said, I'm out. I'm on hindsight from it. So I'm going back. So it's very exciting to talk about now. Very scary when I was in it. And so what happened with me, if I can sum up the beginning quickly, is that because of Ann Barnes, because of this beautiful welcome message or email. I can't remember. Maybe a message in Facebook. Just welcome me to Soft. Just, oh, welcome to Soft. Here we are. Da 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 da. Thank you, Anne, or whatever. And then I learned there's a registry of caregivers. So my first thing is to start searching for who was a surgeon that repaired a heart in an area by me. And this was 2018. Rose was born in 2018, which was so touching when the AAP article author was saying, Dr. Pyle was saying, oh, 2018. I just like broke open. I just like cracked open. That's the year my daughter was born. So yeah, when you talk about this momentum, I just want Soft to know we're here to be a part of this, train moving forward in the right direction for parents' rights and all that kind of stuff. Anyhow, I looked at that and I saw that there was a surgeon that did a repair on a boy near me. And it was not at this amazing place I was supposedly going to be referred to and work with. It was this direction in San Diego. The other hospital was this direction in Riverside, and this one was anyways. So I took it upon myself to find his office and call the number. And when the lady picked up, I said, I have a baby. She's trisomy 18. I saw that this doctor assisted. This doctor assisted on a surgery in 2005. It's the closest I could find. Assisted on a VSD closure, 2005. Some simple, or was it a stent? No, I think it was I think they did a closure. It could have just been a stent. I don't know. But anyways, he called me back. The surgeon himself called me back. I was at a park with my kids. She took all my information. She said, okay. He calls me back. I'm at a park with my kids. I pick up. He says, hey. And he's a hilarious guy. I won't say his name, but he just, and he says, listens for a little bit. He says, I'll take the kid. I'll take the kid. Yeah, I'll take the kid. I was like, oh my God, I just did it. I just found it. He did not repair my daughter's heart, by the way, just to ruin the story. But he did. He took her on, and it shifted my whole care over by him. So it was but that was found because of Soft. And that definitely is one of the steps that helped us. So it was helpful. It was hard. It was helpful. So when we're in this care that eventually all came, and that's a whole nother long story, but that care came to be under his watch. So Rose did not go to a NICU. She went to the CVICU, where he kind of took her on. So again, our shield, right? We had a surgeon assigned to her, and we were somewhere that didn't want us, So I thought they did. I thought they wanted us, but they didn't want us. Established staff did not want a trisomy 18 in their CVICU. And so we kind of forced ourselves in there. And so the first couple weeks, as we're going through everything, and I recover from C-section, and I come over, I'm like, oh, yeah. And she was intubated electively at birth, which was part of my care plan. And the neonatologist and I talked. And if he saw any struggle, I wanted him to intubate. He did see some struggle. He intubated. They extubated her very quick in the CVICU. All this stuff, new parents probably don't need to be bogged down with all this, but that kind of stuff happened. So I was mad. She was extubated without me knowing. So I started to slowly intercare. I was just kind of letting it be all them, because here I found the surgeon. I felt like I crossed the finish line. I felt like my whole pregnancy I was fighting, and here we are in this haven. I can now be mom. I don't have to be advocate. I can recover from my C-section. I can take this 3-ish days I get to be here before I go back to all my children. Maybe even lose my child. Maybe have my child die. I don't know, but we're going to try. So I'm kind of in this place of I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go of the reins. I'm going to stop being assertive, I guess. I'm going to stop annoying people, because you can see it in their eyes when they don't want you to steer the care. So I'm going to calm down a little bit. I'm going to calm down. I'm just going to passively follow what they say, So when my husband called me and told me they had extubated her, I said, they didn't tell me. And they said, we don't. And I know that, they'll still extubate Rose after surgery before I'm aware, and I'm annoyed, but whatever, that's different. So yes, it was kind of standard protocol. If they felt everything looked ideal and they extubated her, yes, that does happen in medicine. Yes, that could be okay. But with these it felt like they were trying to let her go. Okay, that's what it felt like. I'd have to talk to them to ask them really what they were doing. But they said no, that was not the case. It was just time to extubate. So they extubated and she did handle it well. So, stuff like that happened where I was nervous, but I still trusted our surgeon. But by the time Rose was 4 weeks, it was extremely clear we weren't on the same page. So CPAP kept getting taken away. Um, there was a lot. So that's a super special time that I honed in on not just being the mom, but being a part of medical choices. Not just being a receiver of the news and handing a little list that I hope they would do. In that 4 weeks, I call that my medical school. My husband says it was my law school. He's like, I don't know if it was your medical school or your law school. Because we learned later we knew nothing till we literally were caregivers. Then we really learned how to be paraprofessionals and take care of Rose. I didn't know anything then, but I did have to really, this is my biggest advice for parents currently. And I do know of like 3 babies right now just waiting for their heart repair that keep getting sent back to cath lab, keep getting put one more hurdle, keep going into pulmonary hypertension. Like I'm physically watching it now in the parent groups. I'm watching what we lived. I watch people still go through what we went through. It has not gone away. It's still happening. It's very hard. I align with Hamill's suggestion, go early, go early. Of course, everybody's different. Of course, I get all that. But for me, uh, uh, it was a really hard time. So that was 6 weeks. And I think I told you that sometimes the story is so big that I have to look at the bullseye. So I'll focus on getting the heart repair. But that is a huge, huge time where I grew. And I've learned how to talk to a new parent because I used to just scare them like, well, she's crazy. I'm not going to talk to her anymore. Because it's such a passionate time. But
It is.
eventually someone comes back and says, you're right. They're not repairing the heart. You're right. They're not going to they're not going to put them on CPAP. Where do I go? And then everybody scrambles and all these different people that are amazing help within our community, other parents help them. We find someone that lives in their state and they help them get a surgeon's name and everybody runs to the cause and everybody helps and it's wonderful. But every single month, someone's in that predicament that I was in and I'm 8 years out. So when I saw that AAP podcast you did, I just broke open sobbing because I'm like, thank you because it's literally the AAP. It's an even better shield than this. Hold that in front of yourself when you're
Not
sitting at care
offended. Not
conferences.
offended. Yes, we want those
From the
journals and
doctor's
those
point of
articles.
view,
Yes,
from the
exactly.
doctor's point of view, they want to see their peer
Correct.
reviews. They want to see their
Correct.
peer, not
And
just the parent. So, yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, yeah. But being a parent, we can speak back to the things that, it'll ruin your career, it'll ruin your other children's life. Like there's a lot, and I think we talked about anecdotal advocacy. There's a
yeah,
lot that anecdotal advocacy can do. But when you are like where I was in those 4 weeks, it does nothing. Does that make sense? Like it got me there. So I needed it. I needed to see soft. I needed to see pictures of these kids getting older. There was one particular mom I reached out to that gave me her birth. And that was the best question I could ask. So new moms, I would really encourage you to follow people's blogs, follow these parenting groups. Soft has a Facebook group. Just ask people their birth story because I gleaned so much from doing that. In Messenger, before I knew about Soft, I messaged a few parents I could find from the internet, and I said, "Can I hear your birth story?" And then this one woman like gave me this super lengthy birth story, born at Cardinal Glennon, and just gave me this like detail. So I saw the baby wasn't known to have T18 before it was born. So the baby, not it, but the baby, I just don't want to say her name. The baby went to the NICU not knowing T18. And I was starting to connect the dots that babies that they didn't know had T18 and went to the NICU Not all of them. Not we lose way too many way too soon, but children lived, and I saw that as a key. A NICU was a key to living. So that was huge help. That was a mom sharing that story. So for that reason, I think every single day for 8 years, I share our story. So to get to the heart real quick, I began getting referrals for transfer. And it was a mom, a mom that I'm trying to talk person first. So let's see, let's say this better. It was a mother of a child with rare trisomy. I think our community is a little behind on that, and I do it all the time too. And I know why I say trisomy parents all the time, because it makes me not feel so alone and it makes me feel powerful. But I will say, in the long run, now that Rose is older, I do understand the importance of person first. Um, I'm a parent with a child with trisomy. I'm not a trisomy parent. Um, Even though a group I admin and I love is called Trisomy Parents. I love it. But I'm just saying, when I speak, I'm trying to do that. I do notice it better when my daughter's in the school system, my daughter's in therapy systems. I'm amongst other special needs parents. It's just better to talk that way. But in our own little group, we're trisomy strong, we're trisomy parents. But as a parent of a child with rare trisomy, because again, I'm trying to get better at that, um, I I had to really kind of make myself just as important on the medical team as any doctor. And I started saying, I think I shared with you before, that in my profession, if you can't do the work, you legally and ethically have to give 3 referrals. You have to give a client 3 referrals to seek the care they want, that you can't provide, that you won't provide, that you can't provide, that you don't feel is ethical, or you don't, want to do it. You must. If you're going to wash your hands of a case, you must provide 3 referrals. So they were telling me, we're not washing our hands of your case. We're letting you know the next step for your daughter. When I was in this CVICU for 4 weeks, I said, well, I disagree. I disagree. I think she's a great candidate for heart repair. I disagree. I would say that all the time, by the way, and I would just want to empower new parents to leave silence. Like, no, leave silence. Like, they're like, you're going to leave the unit today. You're going to go to this room. The siblings can come, and that's okay. I don't want to evoke anybody's PTSD. Like, it was not Rose's last day, and that's why I say this. I have friends I love, children I love. It was their last day. It was time to go to a room and have their siblings come. So please don't think I'm being disrespectful when I kind of mock what was offered to me, because they offered it at the wrong time. And that's where I come off as a little sassy and a little angry and a little judgmental, but it's never to the parent that had to call the siblings and had to be in a room and had to say goodbye. Dear friends I love had those days, and we may have our day. My plight comes and my super strong voice comes when it was said too soon about my daughter. And so that's how I love Soft combines the two worlds. And I love that we honor everybody's journey. I love it. But I have found in the 8 years of this advocacy journey, I have been asked to quiet down or silence because I'm hurting someone's feelings. And when I share our victory of Rose getting over to Dr. Hamill for full heart repair, um, it's not to brag. It's not to say I'm amazing and I could do what you couldn't do. It's to say this team was being archaic, prejudiced, letting established staff that does not want heart repair done at their hospital and their medical system rule what was going to happen next, and that's wrong. And so I think it can sometimes come off in my advocacy as putting down parents that did need to utilize comfort care, and it's not at all, but it's putting down a systemic bias. And again, that's why I'm bawling during the AAP talk, because I'm like, yes, that's what I'm speaking to. That's what I'm talking about. if that makes sense. I kind of jumped over, but that's what happened to me in that 4 weeks of when I said, "Okay, you guys do not call the shots." So I got known as a fighter parent within the system. I had palliative I had to kick for us, okay, for us. For this 4 weeks, I had to kick palliative care off our team, hospice off our team. I had to just be me. I had to be my husband and I aligned in a room saying, "We're going to transfer. We're gonna leave here and we're gonna transfer." Um, for us, like I said, for us in this hospital system, that's what we had to do. And before it was clear that we had to be that assertive, I was working with the team. I knew the neonatologist by name. We were chatting. I was talking to my surgeon all the time. Um, her surgeon, my surgeon, her surgeon. So anyhow, there's a lot I don't know. There's a lot, the bottom line is we did get out. We did get transfer. And there's a lot I don't know. But it leaves a lot of room for me to guess. But Dr. Hamill did tell me to go back and forgive. Go back and forgive. Um, the surgeon that got us, the surgeon that took her on, is a mentor of his. He's a great guy. They're all friends. They all know each other. I said, "No, you're not. Not a great guy." Like, I know. I was pissed. I was mad because I was there alone. I was in those rooms and nobody calls it out. Nobody calls it out. And it's not right. It's not right. Some of the stuff we got, but we did get there. So people did do right by us. So that's again the hindsight, able to go back. And I just like to kind of pinpoint what pivoted. Like, what is, like I say, I always talk about doors. What is the key that unlocked that door? There is stuff there. And I told you, I think that later I always thought it was just me. It was just me with my fists up getting us there. But when we look back, there was a case manager that truly advocated for us. There was a neonatologist kind of advocated for us. There was a PICU doctor that the PICU and the CVICU doors were connected. She flew in one day and put my daughter on CPAP because I flew into the PICU and said, "Somebody better help me. My kid's gonna die." She'd gotten so much trouble, but she did it. We had moments like that. I think I told you I always felt like it was a movie. Like, gosh, this is a movie. But I had no interest in it ending there. Some people would tell me, like, "Call the news, call Jimmy Fallon." What did people say? Well-intentioned friends and family were like, "Call the news." And I was like, I don't want to call the news. I want to get heart repair. I don't want to sue anybody. I don't want to be on the news. I want to get heart repair. So what happened with us is a fellow trisomy mom. Oh, I did it again. What happened with us is a mother with a daughter with trisomy 18, who I met not from Soft, but she's a great Soft member now. But I didn't meet her from Soft. I met her shopping online for baby swaddle blankets. There was adorable little baby swaddle blankets, and I was going to have a girl after 4 boys. So I was looking for everything pink, everything sweet. And I thought, she's going to be so tiny. She's going to be so deformed. This is genuinely what I thought. She'll be so not normal that let me just get a swaddle. That'll probably be the only thing she wears. Because even though I talked the talk, I knew I had to fake it till I made it. A big part of me just felt she was going to die. But Jeannie was on this swaddle comment thread. And I'm like, "My baby has trisomy 18. She's going to be really small. Do you have preemie blankets?" Jeannie comes right under. "My daughter has trisomy 18. Here's her picture. Here's Sophia." Oh, sorry. Here she is. And she starts showing pictures. when I'm in the CVICU trying to get referrals, and we got denied from every major institution in California. Denied. The denial was in the setting of trisomy 18, further heart interventions and ICU care denied. And it came from six referrals. They all aligned. They all aligned with our care. All of them. 2 acceptance from other states. one from where that first baby was from, Cardinal Glennon, a heart center. I guess he was I would have had to go into Cardinal Glennon NICU. I know that. Um, who didn't accept us, but the surgeon accepted us. So anyhow, we ended up going to Omaha. But the way I even knew about Omaha, those were the only two that accepted my daughter. And a really neat thing for me that I don't know, a lot of parents don't get this luxury that I did get. I was able to talk physically to the surgeons. Not all of them, but most of them. I talked to the ones that denied me, and I talked to the ones that denied her and accepted her. And I got to hear why they said no, and then I got to hear why they said yes. And the two that said yes to me said, her heart is absolutely repairable. So I wouldn't stop from that point. But it was my friend that I met from the Swaddle comment thread that said, you have to get here. You have to get here. What? Ethan, just go. Wait 1 second. What? Hold on. Wait, what? Yes. You were trying to not interrupt.
He did a
Sorry.
good job interrupting, by the way.
I know. Yes, take the Prius. Yes. We share a car. Okay. So yes, take the car. He does not have a car, but he's working for one. Okay. Anyways, she said, girl, you got to get here. That's exactly what she said in a message. Girl, you got to get here. And she threw up a business card that she put on my messenger, and it said James Hamill, or whatever that says, James Hamill, and a number. And I called it. And I talked to his assistant, and his assistant had him call me back, and we talked. And that's where she went, and that's where she got heart repair. And it can feel like it's never going to happen. We had over 6 denials, and then we got accepted to Omaha, Nebraska for Dr. Hamill to repair her heart, and it got denied. Not only denied by our medical team for her to leave their institution, but by our state for state insurance to cover her care. So we got 2 more huge denials on top of 6 denials. So I just tell parents, keep going. Keep going. That's what I mean by I want to talk to more people. Okay, thank you. I'm going to go consult. And then you run like crazy to these support groups and to soft group. And you're like, hey, they're telling me this. They're telling me that. They're telling me this. And then parents go, whoa. Or Marty, a wonderful support neonatologist who is just so generous with his time, will pop on and hey, have they checked this? Have they checked that? Do you know her CO2 level? Do they, and it's life-saving. He's a huge reason Rose is alive. He's a huge reason Rose is alive. Like, there's a lot of people. So like I said, when I was in it, I thought it was just me. But but when I look back, there were so many people that helped us get Rose. So Rose did get there, and Rose had to be intubated for the flight. So that would be the second time in her life she was intubated. And the reason she had to be intubated for the flight was Dr. Hamill said at one point, I got to hear him on speakerphone, intubate my patient. It was cool. It was cool. It wasn't cool then, but it's cool to think back on it. So that meant she was his patient. You know what I mean? That's why it was cool. It's like he took her. It was so great. And I'm so sad that not every trisomy parent with a child with CHD can't have that. It's survivor's guilt is real. It silences me at times. But I'm working on that. It's not fair. It's not fair that we got it and others didn't. People try to convince me otherwise, but it's not fair. But we have people also that got exactly what Rose got, and they have lost their child. So I know that side too. I have dear friends that also transferred to Omaha and also got full care, and got fair care, and they had to say goodbye too soon. So I'm absolutely not, naive to that. We do lose children in heart repair, and I'm a big fan of parents when they're challenged. with denials for major life-saving surgeries for the neonate. You guys are in the trenches. You are in the trenches. It's never been that hard ever again in Rose's life as when she was a neonate. And trust me, her neck broke this year. Like, we've had hard things. We're back. We're back. Her hospital is the hospital that denied her life-saving care. Like, we have done a lot. So this is 8 years out, and I'm telling you, that is such a hard, hard time when you're in an ICU setting advocating for full life-saving care for a trisomy 18 child. I'm sure 13 too. It's just my child has 18, so I'll speak to 18. And it still is. So my heart goes to all the parents doing that. Sometimes there are more bridges than you even see at the time. And later you can go back and see, okay, that was helpful and that was helpful. But I will never minimize that. I'll tell a lot of people, like, if they're pregnant, it might come off as me being a cheerleader saying, get ICU care, like, get, urgently. Because what happens is a lot of people want to wait to decide. But when you can't get in those doors, um, it's very hard. It's very hard. So I try to say, try to get access. Like, maybe you won't utilize it. Maybe you won't. Maybe you have a great relationship with your doctor, and when they give you consult, you'll say, or counsel, I guess would be the right word. When they give you counsel, you might say, you know what, I agree. Let's not repair the heart. I agree. Maybe you will. I'm just letting you know it wasn't Rose's day to not have heart repair, if that makes sense. Um, when I was able to kind of trust Dr. Hamill, once we were in their care, a really cool thing about that is we arrived Thursday and he operated Monday. And I mean, that was just the coolest thing on earth to be exhausted from travel. I didn't fly with her, I flew by myself. Um, she was there. I got there first. My friend met me. My friend that said, "Girl, you got to get here. If you can't guess, she's from Tennessee." and y'all got to get here now. And I was like, I have a huge crew. We can't afford that. And I'm coming. So I came. And then her and Corey, her and her husband picked me up at the airport. So that I was with them. And then Rose came in. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God. Like, did I die? Like, I really wondered, like, is this fake? Like, did the plane crash? Like, is it? Because here I'm in a whole different state, a whole different hospital. And he looks at her and everybody's dressed to the nines. Like, I just come from a CVICU where everyone's in scrubs. Everyone looks a wreck. Everyone was dressed their nicest to come. Because I now know they were on their clinic days and they probably came up to see Rose. So they weren't in like their hospital round stuff. So anyways, they all dressed in suits. They're all in their finest shoes, suits, everything. I'm like, where am I? They all take their time to look at Rose. There was the guy to look how tacky she was. There was the electrical part of her heart. There was just a row of people in line to then come and look at Rose. And I'm talking to the neonatologist and she's welcoming me and she looks gorgeous like a movie star. And I think I'm in pajamas. I think I flew in pajamas with my breast pump. Like, and okay, like I'm listening. And I'm like, what is going on? I've never been addressed so respectfully. And then he says to the whole room, we operate Monday. And I felt exactly like I felt at the other hospital. The whole staff's face go white. And they're like, no, no, we don't operate Monday. Like, even in front of me. And I'm going, and then I said, my husband's not here. And I could barely say it. And he goes, call dad. Call dad. We operate Monday. And he left. They operated Monday. She did phenomenal. She did great. She was recovered in 4 weeks, 5 weeks. We flew home commercial. Like, I mean, it's just from there, the story just goes, if you climb a hill and it's just like a tear, and then you just go, phew. It got really hard once we got home. So I will not lie to parents that it's super simple. It got really hard when we came home. But for that 6 weeks, she did phenomenal. She has a diagnosis of Dorvin-Toff, double outlet right ventricle and tetralogy of Fallot. She does not have just a VSD. She had a pretty, it's repairable, but it's not simple. She did phenomenal. She was under 5 pounds. She was 6 weeks old. She had been she had some great care, and then she had some poor care, so I'm sure some of her CP and some of her stuff is from a lack of oxygen support, and so a big thing I like to tell parents is please try to have access to things that would support the heart, lungs, and brain, because for Rosie, those intubations and those CPAPs helped us keep the heart, lungs, and brain the best we could. And so I'm a huge fan of those things. And again, the AAP podcast you talk about with doctors, they talk about that stuff. So parents can come to their own decision. And I respect everybody's decision. I truly do. But it would be naive and ignorant and medical neglect to not teach these pregnant women, who I was one of them, that know nothing about neonatal care. It would be silly to not tell them the heart, the lungs, and the brain must have oxygen. We must protect those things. It's not just seeing if the baby will choose to live or if the baby will tell us what's next. There might be a day when a very sick person body does tell us, or their blood work shows us, a metabolic sample shows us it's going downhill fast. There might be numbers that we're tracking, a sleep study, all the, watching their saturations, watching how they respond to the pressure support of a CPAP machine. There might be a day where numbers and data, and that's where I want to throw the word data back in the medical community's arena. I want to say face, but it might be more professional to say arena. I want to throw your data back into your arena and say, what's the data? How's her CO2? How's this? What's that doing? I just saw her satting room air at 94, but then she has these huge, that's central apnea, and she's telling us she can't live. We're going to intubate her. We're going to have her safe. We're going to protect the brain because I'm facing some of it now, when neonatology is an amazing field. It's amazing. And I think if anybody's had a preemie, they're a wonderful resource to parents just getting the diagnosis of rare trisomy. If you know anyone, like an aunt, an uncle, a neighbor, maybe even yourself, and I say this kind of knowing it could be a bad experience, so maybe you don't want to hear, but they will know neonatology. We feel so isolated from the rest of the community and no one can understand what we're going through. But really, our children are like preterm babies. And that kind of lets them into a bigger group of care. If you see how an ICU system is going to treat a 28-weeker, 29, 30, even now, they're going down. They're even going 27 weeks, 26 weeks. Like, if you see the kind of care that kind of baby gets, it sure could help a baby with rare trisomy. So if you could expose yourself to what does that look like? Because I think we do get caught in the moral and ethical dilemma too soon. And our brain is thinking, do I want a 13-year-old that I still change their diaper? But we also need to think about just the weeks ahead. And I think it's a shame that the amount of money and time we spend in prenatal special needs care, no one explains neonatology to a parent. And the best way that I can do it is say, well, I'll be happy to tell you all that I learned and all I know, but also start looking at, because everybody feels so bad. They say, we only want them to know love and we don't want them to know pokes. That was a big thing for Rose. I'll speak to my case because I do have a heart for people that don't want their child to suffer. And I absolutely have a heart for them. And it could be me one day. Like I said, like I pause on my words because my daughter still has this very complex diagnosis. And my daughter still has CHT. My daughter will need another repair. And so I don't feel above anybody whose kid has passed. It just hasn't been her day. And that is a part of this diagnosis. And I just want to say, though, it's perfectly okay to let yourself imagine them living. And I had to do that. I had to say, what if she lives? What if she lives? You know, let's just look at this like she's going to live. If she's going to live, then I'm not taking her home and having her desat, because she was doing that. I'm not having her desat to 70, 80 for like 10 minutes and then pull herself back out, which they were calling central apnea, and just have her keep having those episodes, because if she keeps having those episodes, she's going to have brain damage. If she does live and she's 10, 11, 13, because I got heart repair eventually, her cerebral palsy is going to be worse. Her developmental delays are going to be worse. Everything's going to be worse. And so let's just, if somebody does want care, let's honor what neonatology can offer. And Dr. Carey talks about it in the AAP podcast. He talks about the year I was born, I think the year your sister was born, 1977. They're able to give CPAP, to little babies, or pressure support, right? Put you on a vent and give you pressure support to help your lungs grow. That's amazing. That's innovative. That's wonderful. So it's really crazy that in 2025, if you know just some basic neonatology terms, hey, look at you. So this is what I constantly got. What's your background? I got that from everyone that meant anything. A unit director that could clear us to get out of there. A surgeon that could repair her heart. A periodontologist that actually had some clout to say, okay, we'll do an elective C-section. A neonatologist that, while I was pregnant, agreed to elective intubation if we wanted it. Agreed to me being part of the call if we did it. Anybody that meant anything said to me, what's your background? It's nothing beyond. I knew nothing beyond this. I knew nothing beyond this. This is about what I knew, and not even this beautifully put, because, Tara knows. She had me in her home. She knows I was clueless. I'm talking to her son, like, so nervous, because I just had a baby in a PICU recovering from heart repair, but she invited us into her home to see her 7-year-old. He might have been 7, 6. I was scared out of my mind. I tripped over the stander. They were so amazing. Our husband's giving a nebulizer treatment. While we're there having pizza. I was as green could be. But just this kind of information, they literally are asking me if I went to medical school. So it's like, I love that and I hate that. I find it condescending, but I love it too, because I at least learned some lingo that could at least open some doors. But to me, I think, how do you view parents? That is so condescending. Like, what's my background? I'm a mom to a ton of kids. I should have said I'm from Utah. I know soft. But so that's a hard piece, and that's there. But you can get past that. You can move past that. You can get referrals and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's interesting you bring that up. The Sogi family, they're both medical professionals, physicians of a variety of kinds. They even said
that is their background. Yeah.
I'm in the room. And we still are like, hey, I think we're parents. That should be enough, but we're also medical professionals. I think let's have this dialogue.
We're also going to call this out. So,
yeah. So, I mean, this has been wonderful. We're definitely going to run it back, because with Rose, and we haven't even get into the dresses and the recent
I know.
years,
I love that. It's wonderful.
A lot of the support that's needed right now is on the new expectant. So the expectant side and the new side. So thank you for going into the details.
Yes.
And what a wonderful idea that is, to say, we're not, include us in a bigger group, that neonatology is finding so many wonderful advancements, wonderful ways to extend the life of a prematurely birthed child. We got a lot of these needs too. So it's creative thinking that I think is out there. That's what I heard from Dr. Pyle. That's what I've heard from other doctors we have on our medical panel, is get the word out that I want to say, let's be creative. And so anyway, the
Yes.
AAP article, the other
Yes.
reports that are coming out, the other journal studies, the other medical
Yes.
research papers, like
Yes.
keep doing those things. But I think
Yes.
one thing that I want to take from what you've been
Yeah.
saying and what I heard from Dr. Pyle when we interviewed was, it would be wonderful if more hospitals can take some time ahead of time to kind of create their what are their capabilities, what are their processes for children that hit these conditions.
And
Have an open mind, have a process, have ideas, know where you can turn to for more help. But I just want
yes.
more conversations, I think, would be the basic place
Yes.
to begin. What were you going to say, Meri?
They think, at least some I've come across, they think they have them, but they're not polished enough.
Yeah.
They think
So
they have them, but they're not. Like the palliative care that we worked with, not there yet. Not there. And as a mental health professional, not there. The social workers, so but maybe closer, but they need to be more polished. They're not there. It's what they thought they were doing and what they were doing did not align. So it's a system. It's a hospital system. They're very busy. You could have a day where you speak with a care team and you feel so at peace and at ease. The next week could be another neonatologist overseeing your child. It could be a whole nother black and white. There could be someone further up the system that puts a halt in your plan. And it's not all transparent. And they can't be all transparent for every single family. So what happened to us was higher ups, from what I was told could happen, decided that can't happen. So I went from thinking we're just buying time, we're sitting in here week after week after week after week. That's 4 weeks. And it all just hit a wall. That's established staff that did not want my daughter to go beyond cath lab at their hospital. So then I became aligned with, okay, let's just do cath lab. Let's just do a stent. And then it was no, even for that. Fortunately, I had feelers out for referrals, but there's still things we can't foresee. So that's where I say 3 referrals, because you at least learn. You at least learn. What does another institution think of my daughter's heart? It doesn't hurt anyone. And that's where, if I could just speak to the parent, don't be afraid to say, okay, you're talking to me about very big end of life steps and choices. I want a consult. I want a consult. And then if they say, well, that's ridiculous, we're telling you. Okay. Well, Soft right now is talking a lot about Cincinnati. They take a lot of transfers. They're repairing a lot of hearts. They've had news. I'm consulting, because this is literally what I did, and scared out of my mind, shaking and faking it till I made it. I want to talk to Omaha. I'm no, mm-mm, mm-mm. She's not coming off CPAP. No, we're not leaving. No, no. And well, yeah, and you name drop like crazy, like Dr. Carey, Dr. Hamill. There, are you familiar with the latest medical conference of Soft? Dr. Hamill said it's better to go early. What do you think? And I know what they'll say. They'll say, like, well, your child, some, but that's false hope, and that woman telling you that on the internet is crazy. And I know what they'll say. It's okay. Who cares what they say? Get a consult, learn what someone else thinks of your child, and just grow from there. Just grow from there. Dr. Hamill talks about that can be hard too, because then you get these parents that don't trust the care. Once they're in care, they start questioning every single little thing, and the care gets exhausted. So there is a time and place to build a team and trust your team. There is. But it's okay to say, I want a consult. This could be the end of my child's life. I want a consult. And you're part of a very busy system that doesn't have the time for you. But Soft does. Soft has the time for you. So if you go get some of your stuff and some of your information, and us parents have time for you. So we'll just kind of like flood you with information, and then you can take your next steps. But at least we're in your back pocket when you're sitting in that care conference.
Okay.
That's a huge reason Rose is alive. Well, that's a huge reason Rose is alive. I had Soft in my back pocket. I had a Stanford and it's okay to say this. It's okay because they didn't, Stanford denied her, but their article empowered me from my pregnancy on. Their article was, I call it gold, but their article was gold for me because
Yeah.
it opened doors for me. So, yeah, fill your back pocket with a bunch of stuff and just know that all the parents are there with you too.
Right. So many great things you've shared. So many great things. I can't even recap it with just a quick synopsis. So everybody just go back and watch the whole thing. So YouTube thinks that this was an amazing podcast. Sorry, talking analytics now. But I just
Yeah.
hope those that have still stuck with us and listen, there's just so many nuggets. We'll chop up some of the sound bites. I know Mary and I were talking about,
Mhm.
2025, it's all about sound bites. 2026 is probably going to be even more about sound bites. So we'll
Oh
have
my gosh.
short clips of this interview. We'll have shortened segments. But Mary, so many great things you shared today. But if I could say, I mean, we're definitely aligned in this. And this is what I've got from when we emailed, from when we pre-talked and talked a couple of times. And
Mhm.
now through this telling of your story and telling of Rose's story is that every family deserves their own journey and we need to respect it.
Mhm.
But we hope that they can make it with the amount of information that's accurate, timely, so they can do what's best for them. And like you said,
Yes.
some of the family's journeys end, as we should say,
Mhm.
too soon. They might end
Mhm.
prematurely. They may end in the first few days, hours, weeks. And there's
Mhm.
others that Rose is 8, and we'll just keep enjoying every day that Rose's journey is going.
Mhm.
And likewise, a lot of our members that have a variety of age children, and we just enjoy each moment and seek for as much information. With that said, we
Yes.
just hope that more information keeps coming because this is a progressive based ask that there's research happening at different hospitals and different doctors are doing different studies. Just we want to elevate as much of the information as possible so that it can be shared, understood, and then families and their medical team can make decisions that's best for that child.
Yes.
Treat the child as an individual,
Yes.
not by condition. So again,
Yes.
much aligned with that. Rose's story hits a lot of those notes, and
Yeah.
the mother's intuition, it is really at the forefront. The parents need to have that
Yeah.
opportunity to make the decision for them, and that's what we hope
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
So thank you for adding your story,
Yes.
adding your ask for that.
Yes.
It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll just keep supporting families and helping change the narrative. So thank you so much, Mary. Did you want to
Yes.
add any last
And
words?
just just that, yes, so he's talking about dresses because, something we love to do, a huge, um, fun little thing Rosie and I have together is, I've taken up photography, and it began from a pretty sad place. I used to think I'm gonna photograph her every single day because at her memorial service, yep, at her memorial service, I want to let people know that she mattered. Um, I want people to see that it wasn't in vain that we did this heart repair. Her first 2 years of life were extremely hard. I did have moments of what did I do? Again, a topic for another day. Very hard. It's very hard. To the new caregiver mom at home in the trenches, I see you. It's very hard. Then it got to where she was a little more stable and putting the AFOs on every day, stretching the tight hands every day, her not caring about a toy every day. It got hard. Okay. Oxygen tanks everywhere I went, not seeing quality of life, even though I insisted she would have it, saying she had quality of life, not always believing it. I had to combat that, kind of automatic negative thoughts, and I think I was already trying to grieve her before she was gone, and she wasn't gone. She was just delayed development. Um, it really stood out in my home setting. She actually looked great for an ICU setting. She looked like a super healthy kid. But in the home setting, she then looked what everybody said. She'll be a vegetable. She'll get sick all the time. You'll never sleep. Like, that's just the trenches of learning how to be a caregiver. What helped me was I was like, okay, this is ending. what are the typical little girls doing? What are the little girls doing that not years, but 9 months or before she was born, that I wanted to have doing? They're wearing little cute dresses, their little bunny socks that match little bunny stretch pants. Like, okay, we're doing that for Rose. Started getting her in the boutique world, and then you could apply to be a rep. Your kid could be a model. My
Yeah.
kid with an NG tube taped in her nose, eyes crossed, not smiling, on oxygen. She's going to be a model. And I used to tell my husband, like, they're going to design, these designers of these boutique shops are going to start sending us dresses. And then she wasn't getting picked. So a couple people I called out. I said, "Hey, you're never picking my daughter." Like, and it's really hard to get picked. Actually, it's a whole little world when it's like pageant. It's kind of like pageant life or dance mom life. So I started saying, like, "Hey, you're not inclusion. You're not including my kid." They said, "We're not including your kid because your pictures are terrible." So my dad bought me a Canon. My dad bought me a Canon, and I took some online classes, and it was so beautiful to take up this hobby of photography. And I learned, and I was terrible. They were right. And so it was fun. And Rose was my model, and it was hard and it was fun. And I started applying, and I started shopping too. You got to also be a shopper. You got to spend money. So I bought her some and I got hooked because they're beautiful dresses, and she looked beautiful. And it stopped trying to be like, we're going to pretend to be normal. It started being like, look at her. She looks good in that dress. My photo looks good. And then we were the pick me girl for a while, and then we became actually part of the team. And then we found our correct shops that really genuinely our personalities clicked. Women that genuinely cared about Rose. So we found more friends. Our circle grew beyond other disabled children to typical children. And I'm not at the play groups. I'm not at the things where typical children are, but we were online. And that became a huge part of inclusion for us. And then I got to talk shop with photographers. They taught me a lot, and it was really, really fun. So what came from that is I don't do it to the point I used to because we had a surprise baby after Rose. But before Ella, it was a huge part of our life. And I love it. So a good dress, a good cute swimsuit, it's so fun. It gets to be our playful, typical fun stuff. Yeah. So yeah, today we're actually shooting an elf dress today. So yeah,
We'll
so that'll
see
be
those
fun.
online.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Meri. What a
Okay.
wonderful conversation. We're definitely going to run this back in 2026 when we meet up. We'll have highlights of this coming up online. We'll have the full episode here shortly. What a great time. But Meri, tell the family hello. Keep sharing the good news on Facebook, the good news, the bad news, all of the news, and everyone follow her. To recap real quick about the Shield, the book, the New and Expectant Parent book, you can get a digital copy for free at trisomy.org. You can pick it up on Amazon. There's links from our website. You can connect with families if you want to go to the Contact Us button.
It's like
we would love to
beautiful
help
photos.
Connect you to families near you, those with similar conditions. So thank you again, Meri, for sharing the highlights of this book too. Again, thank you. Talking Trisomy, brought to you by Soft. Meri, you are awesome. Give Rose a big hug and a kiss from everybody listening. And again, subscribe, comment, and we'll have more podcasts coming shortly. Meri, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.